What's up, guys? We're going to do a little bit of a video about kindness. And, kindness, it's not something that's loud or it's not something that's attention seeking, but it can carry a power that can shift someone's entire day without anyone else even noticing. In those little moments when you're nice to someone, if someone's struggling or having a bad day. And one thing that I used to do a lot is like when people were like kind of rude to me or mean to me, I would try to understand like why they were feeling the way that they were feeling and try to treat them with kindness. And a lot of the time, that would actually change their like whole demeanor and the way that they responded to me. It takes real strength to respond with patience when frustration would be easier or more natural in the moment. It takes strength to do that, and that's what I would choose to do. And it benefited a lot, and I really noticed that people would actually start responding, better, and with it would just change them into like a more kind demeanor, and I thought that was really cool. Um, Choosing kindness when you've been hurt, it shows a level of emotional control that many people never develop. And it's really, really a valuable skill to have, and I strongly urge you every time that you are presented with an opportunity to, respond with anger, try your best to respond with kindness, and you'll be really surprised at the results. You'll be really surprised at how that makes, other people respond to you. And, kindness, it often goes unseen and unrewarded, but that's exactly what makes it genuine and powerful. And being in a harsh world isn't weakness, it's a refusal to let negativity shape who you become. So, don't let negativity break you down, and don't let it ruin your day, because you have the power to make someone's day, and you have the power to, one act of kindness can literally change. Like if there's a grumpy person and they're always grumpy and they're always mean, one person responding with kindness can change the way that they respond for the rest of their life. You could literally change someone's life just by being nice, one time. And there's strength in holding the door open for others, even when no one says thank you. Kindness is the quiet decision to care, even when it would be easier to stay indifferent. And, it takes courage to be soft in a world that constantly tells you to harden yourself. And, kindness is strength because it requires consistency. Not just when it's convenient, but especially when it's difficult. And it's something you practice with time. Like you get presented with so many opportunities to be, either nice or be mean in those situations. And, when you're nice, it changes the game, bro. And I highly recommend that you do that. Act with kindness. And the strongest people are often the ones who treat others gently, despite everything they've been through. So treat other people with kindness. And kindness doesn't need recognition to matter. It creates impact whether it's seen or not. It's easy to be harsh, but it takes strength to be understanding when emotions run high. And another thing is like kindness is choosing empathy over judgment, even when you don't fully understand someone else's situation. It's very easy to judge and be like, "Oh, that person's just an asshole." But if you actually look into it, they tend to be just like hurt, or they've gone through something that has caused them to be that way, whether it be childhood trauma or things like that. Like those things can really make people respond, more grumpy and in a more mean manner because, of the things that they've gone through. So to try to like understand that and to try to look into their situation and be like, okay, this is why they're that way. It's really important to be able to do that because you're changing lives out here when you're nice. The quietest acts like listening, helping, or simply being present can carry the greatest weight. And, kindness builds trust slowly. And that trust becomes something incredibly strong over time. It takes discipline to remain kind when anger feels justified. And another thing is, kindness is strength because it puts humanity above ego. And, when we put that humanity above our ego, we're going to really lift other people up, and we're going to change the way that they start responding to the world. And it's a really beautiful thing when you notice someone change their demeanor because of, you generally just being mean, or you generally like you changed it, because being nice is actually going to change that. A kind person doesn't need to prove anything. They already know who they are. And kindness doesn't erase pain, but it softens the edges of it for both you and others. And it's like putting a warm blanket over a cold person. When you're kind to them, they're like, a lot of the time, I'm telling you, when I went back and like think about all the times that I was nice to someone that was like being mean to me, their whole demeanor changed, and it was crazy, and they actually started being nicer to other people. And I noticed that actually lasted for quite a while. And so, it's really important to be able to, de-escalate those situations, and it's really important to de-escalate the anger that other people might be feeling. Because without your kindness, those people could spiral out of control and continue to be mean, but you have the ability to change that, to change their life. And kindness requires you to see beyond yourself, which is one of the hardest things to do. But, strength isn't always about standing tall. It's often kneeling down to help someone else up when they're in a dark place, or they're down, or they're going through something, or they're being reminded of their traumas or their pain or the things that they've gone through, And kindness is a choice you make repeatedly, not just a trait you're born with. Even small acts of kindness can echo longer than big dramatic gestures. It takes inner stability to offer kindness without expecting anything in return. And, kindness doesn't really compete, it connects. There's no competition. It's generally just like a wholesome thing to be, is kind. And, it resonates, and there's a ripple effect, and it ripples outward. And like, the more kind you are to other people, then they'll start being kind to other people, and then the people that they're kind to will also start being kind to other people, and it just kind of ripples outwards, and it makes a huge impact. And being kind doesn't mean being naive. It means choosing goodness even when you understand the risks, because someone can still be an asshole to you if you're trying to be nice to them, but it's worth the risk in my book, because I want to see that change. I want to see that difference in how they're acting. And kindness is strength because it resists bitterness, even when bitterness feels earned. And, the strongest hearts are the ones that stay open after being hurt. And, kindness often requires sacrifice. It requires time, energy. But in some moments it's just being comfortable can, make you resonate with kindness, But when you're out of your comfort zone and you're still kind, you're putting forth that effort, and it really matters. And it really makes a huge difference in other people's lives. But even when it is outside your comfort zone to be kind, and you still are, it's going to give back in ways that matter more, and to change someone's day, to change someone's life, to teach other people how to be kind and how to be nice, it's really important. And, a kind word at the right time can stay with someone for years. And kindness is the ability to pause before reacting and choose a better response. A lot of us just jump to those conclusions of, oh, this person's just mean for the sake of being mean, and I'm going to be mean back. And then it just escalates situations, and it makes other people just generally have a bad time. And, it takes strength to forgive when someone is unkind to you. And forgiveness is one of the deepest forms of kindness. And one thing that taught me kindness is a lot of people forgave me because when I was younger, I was bitter a lot, but I became more kind and more gentle as I got older, and, it made a huge difference. Kindness is not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. And in a world full of noise, kindness speaks quietly, but, it carries far. So just continue to do that. Continue to try to be nice to other people, and, make someone's day, and like share something funny with them, or share a song with them, or tell them a little life story about what you got through if you notice they're going through some stuff, if they let you. Sometimes it's impossible, but yeah, just try your best, and a lot of the time you'll notice that it makes a difference. But that's pretty much all I got for this one. I'll see you.